Hello, everybody. This is kind of stupid. I am here today to review all 27 seasons of the Arrowverse that I have seen. So that would be every season of The Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, and Superman and Lois. With The Flash ending and the Arrowverse technically coming to an end since Superman and Lois is now in an alternate universe, I figured I'd rank all these seasons. I have not seen Black Lightning, Constantine, Supergirl, or Batwoman, aside from a few crossover episodes. I just never got around to it. And by the way, some of these seasons I have seen a while ago, so I don't have the freshest memory, but I've really enjoyed the Arrowverse over the years. Even when it hasn't been perfect, it's been consistently entertaining. It's been a genuinely really solid cinematic universe with some great crossovers. So I'm excited to talk about these shows that mean a lot to me and just kind of share what I think of each season. So without further ado, let's get into it. In last place, number 27, The Flash Season 4. This season was okay. I just thought the bus metas were kind of ridiculous. The suits were getting worse. The writing was getting worse. I just didn't care for the season as much. The Thinker was a cool villain, but he was so much less intimidating when he was just switching to the bodies of worse actors and less intimidating figures. Number 26, Arrow Season 4. It was an alright season, but it had some weird creative choices with the villain of an Arrow series being Magic, and the death of some key characters, and his relationship with Felicity just felt way too forced in this season. Number 25, Arrow Season 6, one of the least memorable seasons of the show. Ricardo Diaz was okay, but nothing special, but at least it has a pretty solid finale and setup for the next season. Number 24, The Flash Season 7, one of the lowest points of The Flash, and while it did have some good ideas, some good performances, and a solid finale, I just think the show just really struggled because of COVID, and you would definitely notice the budget cuts a lot more in this season. Also, the Forces arc was kind of weak. Number 23, The Flash, Season 5. Cicada was the most repetitive season, as basically every episode was they fought Cicada, but Cicada's too strong, so Cicada gets away. And it just got really annoying after a while. It was cool having Nora around, and I enjoyed the final couple episodes, but Cicada was definitely probably the weakest Flash villain for me. Number 22, The Flash, Season 9. The final season of The Flash had some very, very high episodes, including the Green Arrow crossover and part 1 of the finale, which finally goes back and shows the death of Barry's mother from her original murder. Those two episodes were great. There were some very solid moments, some great writing, but struggles from way too many filler episodes, a disappointing finale, and a focus on what made his Flash wrong in the past few seasons instead of what made the Flash good for every other season. Number 21, Arrow Season 3. You'd think a season about Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins would be better. Both all the brainwashing and fake-out deaths. It was still solid. I enjoyed it, but it could have been a lot better. And Japan was probably one of the least interesting of the Arrow flashback seasons for me. Number 20, The Flash Season 3. Savitar was an interesting villain. I love the dramatic build-up to Iris's death, but a lot of the other fill-in points of the season were just less interesting, and it didn't have as good one-off episodes as the other seasons. Number 19, Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1. The worst seasons of Legends of Tomorrow is the first due to a boring villain, some uninteresting side characters like the Hawks, but it has some great special effects and action, and there are a few episodes that are very, very captivating, especially when they're lost in time. Number 18, Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6. I enjoy the alien plotline, enjoy the cast. This is definitely the Legend season when you start to notice that the core cast isn't as strong as it's been in previous seasons, and the visual effects are starting to get a lot worse. But they played into the silliness of the Legends, and you still love the characters, so it's still a pretty entertaining season. Number 17, Arrow, Season 7. This season started off very, very interesting with the whole prison arc. But as it drifted out of that and back into more Ricardo Diaz-focused content, it got a lot less interesting. The future stuff was all right, not as well executed as it could have been, but the prison stuff was very, very entertaining, and I love how this season starts to set up Crisis. Number 16, Legend Season 4. I enjoyed the season of the plotline of mythical creatures and monsters being spread throughout time. It was very, very entertaining. And I thought the only issue of this season is Mona was a kind of annoying character, and the season just got too goofy at some point. It lead too much into dumb jokes and was definitely weak at points, but had a great finale, and Tom Wilson's character and his relationship with Nate was so endlessly compelling that it really raised up this season for me. Number 15, The Flash, Season 6. This season was all right. The Bloodwork art was great. I love how it tied into Crisis. The Mirror Master arc wasn't as interesting, and it was definitely struggled from getting cut off. But the first half of the season is some of the best Flash content there is. Number 14, The Flash Season 8. I thought this season, despite some weaker bits in the middle, it had a very, very strong ending. The return of the reverse Flash was really, really well done. I enjoyed some of the character dynamics here more. It just made some really interesting stuff. And Deathstorm was also a cool inclusion. Number 13, Legend of Tomorrow, Season 7. The unfortunately final season of Legend of Tomorrow is still extremely compelling, with them being stuck in the past and having to face evil versions of themselves. This Legend season was probably one of the best blends of hope, teamwork, and silliness that they've had with their lower budget seasons. It all builds up to a great finale, a great Booster Gold appearance. It's just too bad that this had to be the end, especially considering the second to last episode was setting up a great finale for the Legends. Number 12, Arrow Season 1. Arrow is still trying to find its footing here. It was much more of a dark and broody vigilante show than a comic booky show, but I really enjoyed the dynamic between Oliver Queen and his family. Stephen Amell is amazing in the role, and you just enjoy the whole cast, and it has a very great build up to an excellent finale. Number 11, Superman and Lois Season 2. This was definitely the weakest Superman and Lois season, mostly because Ali Alston is not the most compelling villain, but the Bizarro world is extremely interesting, and of course the Kent family dynamics are still endlessly compelling, told with so much heart. Number 10, Legends of Tomorrow Season 3. This season really, really worked with a great villain in Mollis, the return of Damien Dark, and another very solid cast of legends through their time travel antics. This was probably, Legends Season 2 to 3 was probably the best era of the show. And while this doesn't stand as high as the previous season, it still shows how great Legends can be. Number 9, Arrow Season 5. A great season with an amazing villain. Prometheus is astounding. Josh Segarra plays him so endlessly well. The finale is the perfect culmination of everything in the season. And this season breaks down Oliver Queen to his lowest point and leaves some of those interesting, heartbreaking, and well-written moments in the entire series. Number 8, Legends of Tomorrow, Season 5. This season works as a great continuation of Crisis. It's got some very interesting villains. The send-off for Ray Palmer was amazing. I like how it shows all these different villains, but misplaced in history. It's very compelling, it's hilarious, the action is top-notch, and it's got some of the strongest episodes in the history of DC television. Number 7, Arrow Season 8. The final season of Arrow spent its entire time basically building up to Crisis, and it's a very, very fitting end to Oliver Queen's story, tying in the multiverse and time travel and all these aspects to say goodbye to everyone's favorite Emerald Archer in a very satisfying way. Number 6, The Flash Season 2. Zoom is a great villain. I love the introduction to the multiverse, the introduction of King Shark. This is just a very, very entertaining season that takes what works about Flash Season 1 and does it again. Not as well, but the introduction to the multiverse is definitely still very, very good. Number 5, Superman and Lois Season 3. This season isn't as good of a superhero season as a lot of the other shows, but the way it builds on Lois Lane's cancer, shows the deepening Clark family dynamics, and the strength of Smallville is so compelling, and the way that the villain's path mirrors Lois Lane's, especially with the wife having cancer, is really beautifully written. And the final 2 episodes focusing on Lex Luthor is very intimidating and sets up a great, what's looking to be final season of Superman and Lois. Number 4, Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2. The best season of Legends of Tomorrow, as it feels like a true superhero show as they battle Malcolm Merlin, Damien Dark, the Reverse Flash. They travel throughout time, meet the Justice Society. And this is probably the season with Legends' best combination of cast. Legends Tomorrow, Season 2 is just probably the most superhero-y that most of these shows get, as we get a great team with some great villains throughout time. Number 3, Arrow Season 2. The best season of Arrow naturally focuses on one of the best DC villains, Deathstroke. It's got a great build-up. Manu Bennett as Slade Wilson is amazing in this role, especially in his dynamic against Oliver Queen. And Season 2 of Arrow is probably the one I'll most like to go back to rewatch if I ever decided to go back to rewatch any Arrow episodes at some point. It's some of the best action, is just so compelling. Number 2, The Flash, Season 1. An amazing season of superhero television with so much heart and energy This has some of the best one-off episodes in the entire show. Grant Gustin is phenomenal. The build-up to the Reverse Flash is so engrossing and well done. Tom Cavanaugh, Danielle Panabaker, Carlos Valdez, the whole cast is just amazing. It's a perfect superhero show about secret identities and teamwork and Barry dealing with losing his parents. It's extremely well done, extremely compelling, and it's just some of the best live-action superhero content ever. But at number 1, in my favorite depiction of Superman ever put to screen, Superman and Lois Season 1. From the very first moments of the first episode, all the way through episode 11, retelling the origin, all throughout the story of his brother. Superman and Lois is an extremely heartfelt story, with our first time seeing in live action a fatherly adult Superman, married with kids. And the whole cast is amazing. Tyler Hoechlin's my favorite Superman. Elizabeth Tulloch's my favorite Lois Lane. Both kid actors do great. I love seeing it settle down to Smallville, but still dealing with all these concepts of Steel and Superman's long-lost family history. And especially the depiction of Superman's origin in episodes 1 and 11 is so heartfelt and well done and really gets the essence of Superman. I love that Lois fell for Clark first, and I love their family bond. It's one of my favorite seasons of TV of all time, and it's my favorite season of the Arrowverse, Superman and Lois Season 1. Anyway, guys, I hope you like the ranking. This has been a long time coming, so I'm happy I finally got to make it. Coming up soon, my reviews for Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Stick around. See you then.